All right. On to the thing that you researched because I said, do this.
Yep. I came in and I said, hey, what do you want me to research? And you're like, do this because I don't know anything about this. So I was like, all right. So
the big ol'
Nintendo
Switch.
So Nintendo NX was what this was called for so long. This project of the new console coming from Nintendo. We now have seen a trailer drop. You watched it, correct?
Yes.
Trailer drop of Nintendo Switch. It is like a modular device. It's a console, but it's also a mobile platform. So essentially there's this base, and within the base you can put... it's almost like a gamepad to some extent, but it's modular. So you can like take off the sides of the gamepad, and it's like two separate controllers, which then you can put together to make one controller, or you can have two people use the two halves of the controller. And so like Nintendo really loves to play with controllers. Like if it's one thing you've realized like over the last two consoles... They've put out a lot of different controllers, so they're continuing that trend.
Every console is a different controller.
Yeah, it's so different. So the design of it looks really cool to me. The concept is that it's a full blown console. It was showing like Skyrim. It was showing like, which is
NBA
interesting.
2K,
yeah, NBA 2K, like big games, like
a new Mario game.
But it's also mobile. So like in the trailer, essentially the screen. The gamepad plugs into the base. You can have that plugged into your TV, but you can take the gamepad out
of the base,
which
I assume is also charging.
Which is also a charging base, yeah. And you can just put that in your backpack. And like in the trailer, they take it to the airport, and they're both like playing.
Yeah.
And
of course, it's two really attractive people.
Of course, at an airport.
One guy and one girl, and they're like, oh my gosh, let's connect over video games and get married.
We're in love because of Nintendo Switch.
Because Nintendo.
So yeah, it's this mobile thing. So now there's some questions. What do you think about this concept of a full-blown console? Like this is what it seems like, a full-blown console that is also mobile.
I have a lot of questions. Yeah. Hopefully you can answer them, but I doubt it.
Okay, we'll see. I mean,
based on what you researched.
I have some questions too that aren't answered yet.
There's no possible way.
Yeah.
I guess this is the question. There's no possible way that the graphic fidelity and the processing and all that is going to be the same on the handheld as it's going to be when you plug it into the system. So not only that, but when you take the game out of the charging base, out of the TV, out of your home base, you take it on, you have to expect different, like, frame rate issues. You have to expect...
Right.
How are you going to... There's not going to be any internet connectivity, right? Like, there can be.
Right.
And I know that the PSP or the PS Vita or something used to have a deal with AT&T where you have data.
Mm-hmm.
But that's got to be so different for a system like this, where I assume you can plug in your base to Ethernet, and then or Wi-Fi. But how do you and even the gamepad itself will have Wi-Fi, but take it on the bus, which is Wi-Fi then. I also want to say there's a lot of movement, and there's a lot of movement in this system that has a chance for a lot of breakage.
Right. Like how sturdy is the console?
Nintendo's consoles and everything are generally very, very sturdy.
Yeah,
and they've always been made to move. Like the GameCube itself had a handle. The Wii doesn't.
Right.
There's something else I was thinking of. Oh, I was also thinking maybe there's not going to be any internet connectivity because Nintendo's always been very focused on
party. Like you
get together and do this together.
Like couch.
But in this age, it's impossible for them not to have that.
Is that still good for consumers? Do consumers want couch co-op? Which I do to some extent sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's not the majority of the time. As an adult gaming, I can't do that. I can't like drop everything and go to my friend's house and spend 3 days there. Sometimes I can if it's like a break or something. But it's not like when I was a kid, you know. And when I was a kid, I would go to my friend's house and after school and we'd play video games.
And I guess the question for you would be: would you be okay with the handheld console not having internet connectivity?
Right.
But that's
there will be some version.
Impossible.
So one of the things, as I was researching this, I went to multiple sites. Forbes, GameSpot, IGN, like all these. There are a lot of questions that have not been answered yet because they've just dropped this trailer, and Nintendo said they're not going to say anything more about it until 2017. So they've dropped this for us to think about and talk about, and we don't know all the specifics yet. Internet connectivity, they talked about. I saw some like quotes from like tweets and stuff from developers, and there's going to be like connection to the Nintendo eStore. So there's going to be some sort of internet connectivity. There has to be. Nowadays. Now, part of that, so the biggest question I had, the immediate question, is the same for my phone, the same for anything that's mobile, is what is the battery life? Like, if you really want this, like the concept itself, a full-blown console on a mobile, that battery has to be the most advanced battery that has ever existed. Because if that battery cannot last longer than, 6 hours, like, what's the point?
Like, I have a tablet, and if I watch videos on it constantly, it lasts for about 10 hours.
Right. Like, I think 10 hours would be good. That's incredible. That's a good, like, that would be an amazing, like, my 3DS can do that, right? So, like, a 3DS, but the processing power and the graphics of that, so much smaller. So, the technical challenge of bringing a console to mobile, full-blown power, is like what they want to do, what they're showing, like, that seems to be insurmountable to me. Now, maybe they have some new advanced battery that they haven't told anybody about. But that seems to be my first question, is I want to see what they say about battery and what that's going to actually look like. Now, when you were talking about the graphics difference between being on the TV versus being on the handheld, from what I understand, the gamepad itself is the entire console. So it's not like you plug it in and you get extra processing power and like RAM and stuff. No, it's just a charging station and a dock for the cords.
Why is it so big?
That's
what I was literally 3 times bigger than the gamepad.
What website was that on? I can't remember. They were talking about it on one of the websites I was researching on. So there's that. So it'll be interesting to see.
In which case, I bring up how on earth would I want to pay for a system that has the same graphical qualities and handheld as I could have as a home console? Mm. Like, they showed them playing Skyrim, and it was very small, and maybe that plays the same way as the new Skyrim does on the PS4. Mm-hmm. But I doubt it.
Well, I like the concept. I think I like the concept because it's like it's a hardcore mobile, right? Like, that sounds cool. But I don't see how it's going to actually work. Maybe they can figure it out. I don't know how it's going to work.
Also, we talked about this when we first talked about the NX, and about how we can eventually get that 3-dimensional Pokemon game. Yeah. There's some Pokemon innovation for you right there.
Yeah, I mean, they could make it happen.
Just to throw back to our previous conversation.
Yeah, we have talked about that before. The next question I had, which is what Nintendo struggles with right now, is third-party support. They did tweet out a picture with a bunch of different video game company logos on it of support from these companies. They've said that they're going to support the Nintendo Switch. And some of the bigger ones that I saw on the list: Bethesda, Square Enix, EA, Activision, Havoc, Konami, Sega, Ubisoft, and Capcom, amongst a bunch of other ones. But the thing that we need to keep in mind is that when the Wii U came out, they had similar support. A lot of these companies came out and said that they were going to support it, and maybe they did release a couple games at the beginning of the life of the Wii U. But as the consoles did not sell very well, especially early on, because people didn't know what the Wii U was. Mm-hmm. It was terrible marketing. I think this trailer was really good for the Switch. It made me excited at first. So I think that if it doesn't sell well, they're not going to continue. Also, I don't see how they can really have a mobile console that's going to be able to have the same hardware as a PS4 or an Xbox One. And when you're not at parity with the other consoles, the developers will have to dumb down the game, to port it. And they don't from what I understand, they don't like doing that, and it's not always a seamless process. So I would be surprised.
It's not like on a YouTube video when you can choose 1080, 720, 480, or 360.
Right, it's not that easy.
It's not, you can't just choose something and it goes. You have to build it from scratch.
Right. I mean, they're different hardware, so they have different capabilities, and you have to write the code to do that. So it'll be interesting. I think if it sells well, we'll see a lot of third-party support. I think it all really does depend on the success of the marketing and if people actually get excited to buy this. But again, to me, it all goes back to battery life. If this is going to be sold as a mobile, will it work mobily? It has to have a good battery for that, and I don't see that. If it's going to be at that processing power, what battery exists that can do that? Yeah, I can't think of one. So another report from Destructoid. They had a report from one of their sources that the Switch will not be compatible with Wii U and 3DS physical games. So that's one of the things that Nintendo in the past has done really well, is they've had a lot of backward compatibility. And they're not. You can see in the trailer there are cartridges for this.
Yeah, who does cartridges anymore?
Nintendo,
you can't get it.
SD cards, man. Solid states.
No.
Put a little
There's no way they can get nearly as much information on a cartridge as you can on a disc.
Probably not. I don't know.
Or a digital download.
I don't know. I mean, we can have pretty big, a mini SD card can get up to 36 gigs, right? I mean, you can get even bigger than that. 64 gig mini SD cards. Those things are really small. I think it's possible. I think that technology has advanced a lot since the old N64 days and things. But
this is the thing with Nintendo. Mm-hmm. They always try to innovate, mm-hmm. and it almost always backfires. On the whole...
Well, the first Wii did not backfire. That innovation caught fire and wind.
That was an accident.
That was sold out for like a year and a half. Like it was so hard to find a Wii, and obviously we've talked about the numbers in our Game Console Wars episode where we talk about the actual sales. But even Wii just like, oh my gosh, we sold so much.
Yeah, but even that, like from a profit standpoint, that's fine. But from like an enhanced in video game design, it didn't do anything.
I mean,
they have the motion controls and.
Yeah, that's one for like party games.
Maybe the PS4 has motion control in its controller, but so did the PS3. Mm-hmm. So they didn't really do anything with that. The Wii U also, like I didn't see any motion controls on this, so they simply said that worked once. We're not doing that anymore.
We're done
because it didn't work.
And we'll see. We don't know what like extra control. Like we know that Nintendo does like to make extra controllers for things. Maybe they will have some like motion control in it. Maybe in the gamepad there is. Maybe in the little. The joysticks or the little controllers that come with it, maybe they do have some amount of motion control in there. It's not impossible that could be the case, but it will not be compatible with Wii U games and 3DS games from the report. Some people care about this too. Amiibos, if you're really into those, the Switch will support Amiibos via Nintendo execs. They said, and the Zelda game that they've already said is going to be on the Switch has an amiibo that comes out with it. So that support is going to continue from Wii U to the Switch too. So if you're an amiibo guy, you didn't waste all your money, it'll still work in the future. But it's interesting. It's an interesting concept. I don't know how they're going to pull it off.
I find it interesting that you forgot to mention the esports aspect. In the trailer, they showed a little bit of esports. I'm just like, no.
I don't know if that's actually going to go down the way that they presented it there.
They showed Splatoon as an esport. That's fine. Do that.
Splatoon's fun.
But no one in esports, any self-respecting person in esports, is going to use
a little bitty screen
the Switch controller or anything for an esport.
Right.
The Switch, just a controller. You're going to bring your own. It's going to be like an actual...
An Elite controller.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like with the Wii U, maybe they lost... I mean, they have like hardcore Nintendo fans. There are people who love Nintendo.
For whatever reason.
But I think they lost... With the Wii and the Wii U both put together, I think they lost a lot of hardcore gamers. They all switched over, and by hardcore I mean like shooters, like people who play shooter games, people who play like high graphics games. Like I think they lost a lot of those people, and maybe that part of the commercial was trying to target those people and be like, "Hey guys,
Splatoon.
We miss you guys." Like because esports,
they'll have to come out with their own Nintendo game to be an esport on that.
Yeah.
So kind of like what Blizzard did with Overwatch.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's possible.
That's on PC.
I don't want to limit what they can do because Nintendo can.
You want to talk about those little tiny controllers that come off the side?
Yeah, I don't know.
Those look awful.
They look really small.
Not to mention that I guess that would be the same. Do they have shoulder buttons on them?
It looked like they did. It almost looked like the nunchucks, but with like some buttons on them.
I don't know. It's just
from the Wii U. We don't have a whole lot of information. We have the trailer and we have some tweets from executives. But there seems to be more questions than answers at this point with what this is actually going to be like. I think it's good that they're marketing it already, and it looks different from the Wii U, and it's a totally different name. So we'll see what happens with it, but...
do you know when it's released? When it's supposed to be released?
I didn't see a specific date.
If it's 2017, it's going up directly against the Scorpio.
Shoot. Uh-oh. We'll see what happens.
You can have 8 teraflops in your Scorpio, or you can have little tiny controllers.
Little tiny teraflops.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll probably keep track of this one because a console release is pretty big.
Yeah.
But, if you have specific thoughts about this,
they're changing the game.
Let us know because I don't know. I feel like this is going to be like a thing of discussion for a long time for gamers. Like I can see people in party chats talking about this, and I'm sure YouTube comments are going crazy right now, all full of this. So
I'll watch the trailer again. Not right now.
There you have it.
I don't know. It just
success or failure. Guess.
You want me to call it out right now?
Make a prediction based off what you've seen so far.
It depends on how much it costs. I
saw a guesstimate of $300 to $350.
Gosh, the Scorpios are gonna be like $400, I think.
Yeah.
There's no way it's gonna cost that much. It has to be like $250.
That's what Forbes said.
Gosh, Forbes, they're respectable.
I know, it's like a respectable source. They actually had a lot of stuff about the console. I was really surprised. They had like 4 or 5 articles about the.
What do you think about the screen? The screen's rather large.
I think what I like about the screen is that it is big. Like it's a big mobile. Like it makes me think of those old, like a long time ago, Sega Genesis had like a mobile one. Do you remember that? And it was a huge screen. I was always really jealous when my friends had it. But the battery on those things really sucked. It was like 2 hours. But yeah, I like the size of the screen. It looks like an iPad mini or something. Like that's the size. Or maybe an iPad, you know.
I guess that makes sense.
So, I don't know.
You also see they have the number buttons on the Switch. Mm-hmm. So on the controllers above... So on the left one above the joystick and on the right one above the number pad, they have the 1 and the 2 that they always have.
Yeah.
For select and start, I guess. But
yeah.
I don't know. Well,
is it? Can you not call it yet?
We didn't even talk about Nintendo stock dropped after they announced it.
Right. There was it was a slide, and I don't think it was like a nosedive, but it did go down afterwards.
By like 6%.
But I don't think the stock price is a good indicator of if a console is going to be successful or not.
That may be true. But
because I don't think most investors, people who are buying stock, are gamers. And I think gamers care about different... Like, stock people are worried about profit. Mm-hmm. And they look at the business side of things. And I don't know how... Like, they may not like the concept, but that doesn't mean the gamers won't, you know. I don't know. I see a disparity between the mindset of a gamer when it comes to buying a console and the mindset of an investor. Looking at it. I mean... I think it is an indicator, perhaps, but I don't think it's an end-all be-all. But it did go down.
It's worth mentioning.
It is worth mentioning. So yeah, that's what I researched.
If the Nintendo Switch brings out a third-person open-world Pokemon game...
Are you going to buy it?
No, I'm just saying it'll be cool.
It would be sick. And you would have called it, like, a long time ago.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Tell us what you think, listener.
Yeah, tweet.
Comment at UP Gamers Podcast.
Subscribe.
All those things.
Do those things now. Stop what you're doing and go to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Underpaid Gamers.
Underpaid Gamers. Look for the sticky note. All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Yeah. Underpaidgamers.com. All that stuff. You guys know it. You guys listen to the intro. We'll talk to you guys later. See you next week.
Bye.